And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for yourself.
We are the last
Americans!
We are the last
Americans!
We are the last
What's up, dudes?
Hello. I always get so confused because I can barely hear the music on my end. And so I'm always just gauging myself off of your guys' reactions.
I gotta admit, I zoned off there for a second. I was just like,
You did. Like, it like faded out and switched camera and you're just like,
I was
Well,
thinking.
because I looked over at Chris and I saw Chris like look at you like,
Wow, dude,
what are we
I
doing?
started thinking about an article and I was like, yeah.
I had to come in with a woo to like wake everybody up.
Woo, I'm like, hey, oh. Hey, man.
and I do like Chris's like stiff turnaround though. Like his whole body had to turn. It's like an owl.
I just look at him like,
the opposite
what?
of an owl.
The opposite of an owl, yeah, because the owl's
full
heads
body.
are fucking weird. They fucking.
It's like a guy in one of those, neck things, the braces that they screw into your skull.
yeah. Like the halos.
Yeah, the halos. There it is. Dude, yeah. Good morning to you.
Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning to everybody.
Happy hump day.
It is.
It's that hump day again. Everybody, come on. If you're listening to this, do the air hump. Come on. Let's do it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Get that booty on the floor.
Jeez, man. We got like an exercise routine going on. I think
I
people
don't
are
know.
just now waking up in the real world.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, not
I'm
here.
still kind of half asleep, so.
Yeah, man. We have some really fun topics today. I'm actually excited about a few of them. I think they're pretty cool, man.
For sure.
But make sure you guys get on, subscribe to all the channels if you have not yet. I know some of you already are, so you're just like, why you keep saying this? Because we're trying to transition everyone over.
Yeah. At the Last Americans podcast, you can find us everywhere, dude.
Yep.
I mean, we're on Instagram, Twitter, we're on Spotify now, we're on Apple Podcasts. So leave a rating, leave a review.
Yep.
I read them while I'm wiping my ass on the toilet. So it's all exciting, fun times.
Yeah, and if you're new to the show, obviously, I mean, go find all those places. Support us everywhere.
That's another thing too. Is like some people have never heard us before.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's listen, we are enjoying this. It's a fun transition. It's kind of nice to have all the weight off your shoulders and to just be able to be loose again, not have to worry about it. Speaking of restrictions, and some of the stuff that we dealt with in the past, which got us in trouble. Greg, you brought an article about big tech rolling back some misinformation.
Yeah, bro. This happened last week, and we never really brought this up. So, I mean, you had YouTube now is allowing, they had this policy where you couldn't dare talk about the 2020 election, right?
Yep.
And so now they just kind of rolled that back. You can go ahead and talk about it. I mean, it's just, free speech is very important to our democracy, okay, Dave?
Yeah.
So that's why they did this. Because curtailing political speech without meaningfully reducing the risk of violence or other real-world harm is just, it's unplausible. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it says on here that Meta on Monday reinstated the Instagram. This was last Monday, if I'm not mistaken, right? Not just the other day. So reinstated the Instagram account of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who was removed from the platform in 2021 for posting misinformation about COVID. So they're I don't know why they're doing this. We had some discussion off show. We're like, what's going on, dude? Part of me feels like it's a setup. I got to be real with you. You know what I mean?
Well, so, I mean, you look at YouTube, for example, they're allowing you to talk about election results. They're allowing you to disagree with election results. So that tells me that there might be an election coming up that they want you to disagree with. Am I right?
That's
maybe that's
sure.
the-
No.
I was gonna say, like, they don't. You're allowed to talk about the 2020 election now, I guess. But what happens now that 2024 is happening? Is it gonna go like?
Well,
you can talk about this one, you just can't talk about this one. Is it gonna
so
go
it
that
said
way?
you could talk about 2020 and all past previous elections. So as long as it happened in the past, you can talk about it. Okay. Now you can't talk about the validity of voting methods like mail-in voting,
Yeah.
Like you can't talk about like the efficacy of all these things.
Yeah.
Or
But-
like the machines, I'm sure still is probably restricted.
I don't know.
Dominion?
But yeah, I mean, you could definitely say that, fraud occurred in the 2020 election. You could say stuff like that.
I mean, yeah.
And-
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, part of me is like, I'm happy because it should be part of free speech and it should be part of America
Absolutely.
where
Oh,
we
yeah.
have that discussion. We're able to just say like, hey, I think this is fucked up and rigged. You should be able to say that no matter what, but they didn't allow it. Now they are. And to your point, I never really thought of it that way, Greg. I think that's a really good point that like, if we go into 2024 and Trump, let's say, dominates the election, wins it by a landslide, they want to allow the left to be able to.
Of course, they would want you to be able to talk shit about it and say this is fucked
Right.
up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so they're kind of laying out the groundwork for a future election that they will probably want you to disagree with heavily.
Yeah, because
And then you
2016,
have-
people were saying there was fraud. If you remember, the Hillary Clinton
Yeah, on the
situation,
other side too. Yeah.
they were
Dude,
saying.
not just 2016.
I
This
know.
was back in George Bush and Al Gore days. Dude.
Yeah,
That
but
was
Al
the
Gore
heavy
and George
one.
Bush didn't have YouTube. I'm just saying in the modern era, like they were fine with it when Hillary Clinton was saying that she didn't, find that this election was fair, and people were saying it left and right.
Yeah.
Totally fine. When Trump wins, totally fine to say that. When Trump loses, you can't say a word about it. And now to your point, Greg, which I think is accurate, are they going to say this in 2024 if he does win by a landslide, for example, it was rigged? And they want people to be able to say it.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Well, yeah, and then you have the COVID misinformation, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the definition of misinformation is very loose. So
Yeah.
you have Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as you mentioned, Dave, coming back to Instagram. So with him running as a presidential campaign or a presidential candidate,
Yep.
you're going to have all this information come out because he's a smart motherfucker. And so when he's like quoting papers and showing evidence of here's some statistical facts that might go against the COVID narrative,
Sure.
you know what I mean, as far as safety and efficacy,
Yeah.
then a lot of people are going to have to start looking into that, right?
Well, I mean, and they also are probably trying to get themselves out of future lawsuits because if they don't change the policy, especially when you have, Kennedy coming out, his campaign's really driven off a lot about COVID. The vaccine.
Actually, no, it's not.
No?
He's even said that. Like in a lot of his interviews, he's like, the COVID stuff, like the vaccine stuff, that's not my primary platform. But I mean, if you bring it up, I'm going to tell you what I think about it. So
Yeah.
that's what you know what I mean? He's known for the vaccine stuff, I guess you could say that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like all the social media stuff is usually surrounded around that somehow. I wonder if he's just saying that so he can get his campaign more on away from that and more into other things like policy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, he's knowledgeable on a lot of different things, like foreign policy, domestic policy. There's a lot that he knows about, and so I think that he's been bucketed into this corner because of his controversy and the controversial things that I don't think that are that controversial, but the mainstream media and those who are backed by big pharma would think that that's controversial. And I think, honestly, a lot of this, like, big tech kind of reversing their roles on this has to do with Elon Musk and Twitter. Because Elon Musk bought Twitter. He's now allowing people to discuss these things.
Sure.
The community notes section that does fact checks now on Joe Biden and all of these left-leaning politicians. So it actually is
it's not biased anymore because I've seen several of those where they actually fact check people on the other side too, and they're like,
Exactly.
hey, don't post this shit is actually not right because it was doctored this way or they didn't actually say that or something like that.
So I was going to say it's a lot more, it's an even playing ground right now. So Elon Musk buying Twitter. And then it just came out yesterday that Elon posted something that he's considering buying CNN or Fox News.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah.
Right? So this shit's going to be everywhere, right? If he takes over CNN and they actually start talking about real news and you know what I mean? Like truth,
Well,
how changing would that be?
I don't know how changing that would be, if you want my honest opinion, because I feel like people are so tribalistic that what would happen is the same thing with Twitter, where, if CNN, for example, changed over and were speaking more truth, the people that we all make fun of for watching CNN would just leave CNN and go to MSNBC or somebody else, and then it would turn into like what they would say is like, oh, this is a new right-wing channel.
Would they though? Because then you'd have a lot
so-
of people that exclusively watch like CNN or exclusively watch Fox, and if then they
Yeah.
start giving out information that is more accurate, are those people just going to be like, oh, well, hold on a second, what is this? Or are they just going to be like, nope?
Yeah, I think they say nope, honestly.
So my example is Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of people who watch Fox News, I mean, they watch Tucker Carlson.
Sure.
Bro.
Yeah.
And you look at like 50% of Fox News' audience leaving after Tucker left. And that's because Tucker spoke the truth. And now all of that audience just left to go follow Tucker.
Well,
you
see,
know
that's,
what I mean?
I feel like that's a different scenario. That'd be like that's someone maybe telling you the truth and is leaving, and you're following the person that's telling you the truth.
Okay.
If the
But
people if people on the program are just now they're still there and they haven't left, they're not going anywhere. Now they're just telling you the truth. It gets mixed into the same stuff you're already listening to.
So imagine everybody now at Fox News, if Elon buys Fox News, saying the same things that Tucker Carlson is saying. You know what I mean? What if Fox News realizes and they go, oh yeah, we should be talking about what Tucker's talking about, and then maybe we can get some of that audience back.
Sure, but that's already a right-leaning thing. And in general, I'm not trying to categorize people too much, but like the right-leaning thinkers generally are a little bit more on like the true shit right now. You know what I'm saying? That's true.
Yeah.
So like,
But isn't that sad?
Well, yes, it's sad. And again, I don't want to box everybody because I feel like there's some people that are left-leaning who are totally privy to all the crazy shit that's going on as well. But
For sure, dude.
But I'm saying
There's a lot
Fox News
going
is
on.
very right-leaning. The people that watch Fox News are right-leaning, generally, like Trump supporters, generally conservative, more conservative. And so, yes, more into the true side of things, that's fine. But CNN is not. And I feel like if you're a person who watches CNN on a regular basis, if that's your choice of news channel, if they start switching out being more pro-Trump and more
No, I didn't say being pro-Trump.
No. But it is. Let's be real. If you're talking about truth, then you have to admit that Trump was not the racist that everybody said he was, that he was not guilty of all the crimes that they say he was.
I'm not saying you have to go into the past and then reassert everything that the conservatives were saying. You just go from there, and everything that comes out, you're more honest about it.
Well, and here's the deal: is CNN used to be down the middle, bro. Like I remember back when we were kids. I mean, CNN was introduced to be the middleman because you had MSNBC on the left, you had Fox News on the right.
It was unbiased.
CNN was the one that was supposed to be right in the middle. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's their motto, isn't it? Unbiased or some shit.
Well, that's been I mean, that's not been true for many, many years.
Yeah, but I mean, imagine it goes back to that.
Well, yeah, but here's again, we've divided so much. Like, now that, like, if you are conservative, you're probably watching more Fox News or podcasts or other things. If you're left-leaning, you're going to be watching more CNN. Like, that's just generally the consensus. It is.
Yeah.
And so, like, if CNN switches their approach, yes, long-term it's probably going to be beneficial because now people from Fox will have another channel and some people with open minds will start to watch, but they will lose a lot.
I think people that watch exclusively Fox or exclusively CNN aren't necessarily even looking things up on their own anyway.
Exactly, dude.
So I
feel
think
like
that
we've lost our way.
Once they start implementing different information into their program, I feel like those people are just going to listen to what they say anyway. They're not going to go. Most of the time, those people that watch mainstream news aren't going and researching something themselves.
See, why?
Well, and then if you listen to like Fox News, they'll point out the most absurd ideas coming from the left. And same thing on MSNBC. They'll point out the most absurd things coming from the right, or like extreme, maybe not absurd. But it's like, why not actually have a common ground where you actually have one network that talks about the good things of both sides? You know what I mean? I feel like we used to do that. We used to like listen to what's somebody's opinion. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to, why even present good and bad from both sides? Why do you even have to go, oh, well, they said this or they said that? Why not just present the information as you receive it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing too.
And don't even mention, well, Fox is saying this or MSNBC
I feel
says
like
this.
you're understating how divided things are. That's the
I know things are divided, but I also think that the people that are just watching CNN are watching CNN.
You think that they're just gonna, whatever CNN says, they're just gonna pick it up?
Probably.
No, I think I disagree with you.
But they're not gonna, if they come out and say saying something that's more right-leaning. They're not necessarily giving the example of where it came from or who said it or whatever. They're just presenting some news. You don't you think they're, oh, that sounds right-leaning, I'm not going to listen
I
to this
absolutely
anymore.
do. Because if somebody was to buy out Fox News, let's say a left company was to buy out Fox News, right? And I think personally that the right is more on track for the right stuff right now. I feel like what they're saying to me is better than what the left's bringing to the table, right?
Right is right.
Protecting the kids, trafficking, all those like kind of talking points that the right have.
Yeah.
If somebody from the left was like, we're buying Fox News, and they're saying the same thing you are of, well, let's just speak truth, quote unquote truth, and then people will just absorb it. So what is their truth? Their truth is very different to the other person's truth. So if somebody bought Fox and then all of a sudden we're introducing slowly, hey, drag queens aren't that bad, like it's not that big of a
But
deal.
see, that's the most extreme idea.
It's
I
not
mean, that's
the
what
most
I was talking
extreme.
about. Like when it comes to like the left, like drag queens and transgender stuff is some of the most extreme kind of bizarre things of the left.
You're missing my
mean?
point. Yeah, my point is that we on the right have things that bother us. And there's things on the left that bother them, and they're going to sniff out when you're trying to incorporate that into something that they do not believe.
I mean, if you have a great debate about it and it's allowed on CNN, like that's why people are going back to Twitter. I mean, there was a lot of truthers that hated Twitter. They're like, oh, you got a fucking blue check mark, bro. Like, I can't trust you. You know what I mean? And now look at them. They're paying $8 a month and they're back on Twitter. So it's like,
I just feel like
you can bring these people back.
I just feel like if you weren't able to present people information in any way that has it maybe have a different view, then what is the point in buying it in the first place?
Well, see, that's my concern with Elon, and it has been my concern. Like, I really like that he's transformed Twitter enough right now where you notice a difference. I think that there's a lot of things that he did that were positive. I really appreciate that he's wanting to go to space and do all this stuff. I like that. But we've said it before. Like, there is a point where if he starts buying up tons of different places, different avenues, it's going to look like a monopoly.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I'm saying? And
so
so
especially because he has Starlink.
Yeah, and so if you're talking about reality, people will notice that. Starlink, yes, Greg, good point. If you start doing all this stuff where you have like Starlink and brain chips and you own media companies and you own media, like social media and TV, right? It's going to look like, dude, we're starting to get a little concerning here because now you're controlling the whole nine.
Yeah.
And the left is going to pinpoint that because they already don't like him.
No, that would be a concern.
So
I wouldn't want one person controlling the narrative on every avenue.
Granted, I feel like even what we see with Twitter where he brings in the new CEO, right? Or whoever that gal is, like, I think that he's open to having people from both sides being on the panels and trying to have a...
For sure, dude. It's just like, I mean, he's allowing free speech and he's like a constitutionalist. So I'm like,
but like
if he did own more of that, would it be such a bad thing if he's doing the right thing?
If he's doing the right thing.
If he's being a constitutionalist, he's allowing free speech. He's just whatever it is. Like, you guys can pick your own filters. You can filter out your own speech. You guys are all adults. Like, what's so bad about that?
Well, that's true, but that's the problem with monopolies. I mean, you could own all these things, and if you're doing it all the way it should be done, that's fine. But as soon as you decide different, then now everybody's fucked.
Yeah, if he buys it and then is able to kind of what he's doing with Twitter, hand over the reins a little bit so that people in it's not even real world, but people, not the owner, is dictating the show, then I'm a little bit more on board. If he's willing to say, hey, I'm just buying this, I'll take my cut, no big deal, I'll be on the board, but at the end of the day, you guys are running this. That's better.
Basically it'd be like some kind of catastrophic event happens and the government comes in and say, we have to take over all this stuff to make sure everything works the way it's supposed to work, and all good intentions are here, and everything's fine until the whole catastrophe is over, and then they're like, actually, we're not going to give back everything we took, and then we're going to change things to exactly how we want them.
Well, yeah, and so like if the internet goes out and Elon Musk now owns CNN, and CNN is the only one of those only broadcasts that's going, I mean, who would you tune into, right? I think I would go to where Elon Musk had control over something and listen to that just to see what's the narrative and how is that different. But there is something interesting though. I did listen to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk had a Twitter Spaces, It was like a 2-hour long Twitter Spaces, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. asked Elon Musk the number one thing that I would ask him, but he did it in such a fucking smooth way that he asked Elon. He's like, you know what? I heard you on a talk show, or you were speaking, and you said something about how AI is like could be like one of the greatest gifts to humanity, but it's also it could kill us all or something like that, right? And he's like, I think that was like a really honest discussion, and especially coming from you with your involvement with Neuralink and with the brain chips going into people and the integration of AI into humanity, people are kind of concerned with AI, right? And so he's like, how do you reconcile the difference between your ideas that AI is going to destroy humanity and then your integration with AI into humanity, right? Yeah. And I was like, yes, I want to hear Elon talk about this shit. And Elon did not talk about it.
Really?
He skirted over the answer, dude. He's like, I don't think that all AI. He did kind of provide a soft answer. He's like, by the time AI, AI is going to become very advanced within the next 5 to 10 years, and by the time Neuralink gets to that point where you could have AI kind of take control over something like that would be far down the future. Like we're far away from that. But he's like, he didn't say that it's not possible. He didn't say that it's not a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
so he's like, we do have to keep an eye on that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
he also doesn't want to dig a hole for himself. Let's be real.
He has companies.
and also, he doesn't want 5 years from now somebody coming back and pull, because that's what they do. They pull up old interviews and be like, "Well, you said." I don't know if he knows the answer.
I know, but he already said it. AI is going to destroy humanity, and now he's involving AI into the Neuralink, right?
Sure.
So I just thought that was a fascinating kind of spot of the interview.
I just don't like, the biggest thing for me on this is I just don't want to rely on one human being to be the person who has all the answers.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the one thing with like Trump that got very weird, is that people looked at Trump as almost a savior. Yep. Even though he was doing a great job and there's a lot of things that were really positive, like people looked at him as like, you're the only one that can save us. And I still think that's the case for some people.
Yeah.
And Elon, saving quote unquote Twitter and then possibly buying a new media company and having Neuralink, which, if a company like Haiti has an earthquake, he can literally give them power to get, back on the internet immediately. When you're talking about getting us off this earth to Mars, I mean, I just feel like he's setting himself up for like savior Elon. And I don't think he's doing that necessarily on purpose. Maybe he thinks that way, but I just don't like the idea that one person has all these avenues where people are going to maybe need to rely on him. And that like concerns me.
Well, I've heard biblical scholars refer to Elon as the Antichrist, because the Antichrist would present themselves as like this likable person. Everybody kind of follows them and thinks that they're doing well, and then all of a sudden, kablamo. Yeah, but that's not.
We've heard
really
Antichrist throwing so much around that it's almost like racist. It's like
exactly
Obama's the Antichrist and Trump's the Antichrist and DeSantis is the Antichrist. Like it's just
someone's got to be the Antichrist. Where are they?
People are looking for it, but listen, this is interesting. I'm happy that they're making some slight changes. My question about getting back to this article real quick, and this is where I'll end it. How are you going to forgive the people that you kicked off your platform for it?
They won't.
They won't. And that's the thing is like, even with our show and many, many other great, great shows, they dealt with a whole lot of bullshit because of these fucking things. And now you're just wiping it clean.
Yeah.
Like it never happened. And it's the same with the COVID shit where it's just like, hey, we didn't know.
Amnesty for all.
Amnesty. It's very frustrating when you really fuck people's lives up.
Yeah.
And really made things harder than they should have been for something that now you're just taking back and willy-nilly. No one's even just been like,
oh yeah, dude. Well, then, imagine the people who died or like had family members who died because of the policies and all this misinformation.
I wonder if there's an avenue for people to have lawsuits against, especially if they've lost a lot of income or a lot of like that kind of shit because of these policies, and then they just remove them all nonchalant like it wasn't a big deal in the first place.
But then you're battling major corporations, and you know how tough that can be.
Well, and you're using the legal system, which is completely fucking just corrupt right now.
It is. I mean, you're right. It is. So yeah, to me that's a very interesting story. And to your initial point, does it mean that there's going to be something that would be pre-predicting? And I don't know that that's the case, but Are they saying, hey, it could go bad in 2024 for the Democrats and we need to be able to let them air their grievances this time? You know, like that's a legitimate case that you made.
I think that's actually a decent, but I would almost be willing to say like they're opening it all back up so they're sitting in the middle waiting to know which direction they need to go.
Yeah.
Like they could re-implement everything depending on how it went, or they could just say, hey, you can talk about all you want because it didn't go the way we wanted.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
That's what they're doing.
I want to bring up this church fire that happened, if you don't mind. I thought this was interesting. Did you get to see this fire, Greg?
I'm looking at it right now. It looks pretty
yeah. So
pretty big.
Yeah, so there was a church that caught on fire on last Friday.
Yeah.
And it was pretty devastating. And this church is like a very historic church. It's been around since 1772, bro. Okay.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, 19th
Before
century
the
church.
creation of America.
Jeez.
This
right
thing
around
is,
there.
yeah, it is a historic church. It's called the First Congregational Church in Spencer, and it's in Spencer, Massachusetts. And so I saw videos of this coming down. And
It says 1863.
no, onlookers can be heard in the video screaming as the 1860. Oh,
It says the church was built in the 19th century after fire previously destroyed the site's former house of worship, which had been there since 1772.
So it's burned down twice
it's
now.
Yeah, so it's a second.
Dang.
It's
version.
the second coming of fire.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious if the first fire was started for the same reason. Do you have there's a funny kind of thing going around about this, and I wanted to I felt like I needed to verify because we've seen on TikTok where people mash two videos together that don't have any relation at all.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw this video and I was like, is this really the same church? But it is. I looked it up. There's a reason that people say this church was struck by lightning from the hands of God. They believe that God, just shot this thing. And actually the video of the tower falling is like pretty crazy, bro.
It is.
It's pretty gnarly. But the pastor of the church, I believe, supposedly gave was doing his like sermon or whatever it's called the previous Sunday, okay, before the fire. And there's a clip of him saying something that people are just like, well, that's why God he burned this sucker down.
He smited you.
Yeah, so let's
Yeah.
What did
see
he
what this-
say, dude?
Let's see what this guy says. It's going to be a little quiet, I think. So make sure that volume's all the way up there and
Okay, here we
listen to what he says.
Kinds of things, and I am one who does not believe it was dictated by God. I think that the scripture, the Bible, is human beings trying to make sense of their experience of God.
Boosh. So what he says, okay, go ahead and stop it. What he says is that
Is he wrong, though?
He doesn't, well, listen, no. Here's the problem. You may say that. I disagree completely. I believe that the Bible was created by God in the hands of people, right? Like God was giving messages to people. This is what and it is their experiences. But he's kind of saying basically that the Bible has nothing to do with God. It's just people's recollection of their thing, right?
Oh, okay.
And so to people in the church that believe the Bible is the word of God, that's literally the saying. The word of God is the Bible. For him to come out and say, I don't believe that the Bible is the word of God, it's just people's recollections of events, of their experiences with God. God says, you know what? Fuck this shit.
And then
Bush.
lightning hits the church and it burns down.
Yes, dude.
Dang, dude.
Yes. I mean, this looks like Canada
Yeah,
right now, bro.
God.
It's God's just out here just fucking shooting laser beams down.
You know what this reminds me of? The lightning strike that hit that George Floyd mural. I remember that
yeah.
gigantic
Oh, yeah.
I do
mural
remember that.
painting of George Floyd.
Yeah.
And right as soon as like all of this stuff went down with George Floyd, it just went right
Well,
into that mural.
the thing is like listen, we've seen this with many churches, and there are some people that go around literally just like criticizing these churches.
Oh, yeah.
They feel like the church has lost its way in a lot of ways. They feel like the introduction of like the LGBTQ communities into the churches, kind of like saying, hey, we're cool with accepting you, even though it's like we know it's a sin. Like the church understands that that is a sin to them, right? But they're allowing it to happen because people are people. Those kind of churches are getting a lot of criticism, saying like you're not a real church. And in fact, if you remember, the church in San Francisco basically told Pelosi to get the fuck out because she was pro-abortion.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was actually a positive thing for people. They're like, thank you. Because
Well, and that was a big deal too when Nancy Pelosi went to go visit the Vatican,
Yes.
right? The Pope, because the Pope was like allowing this
Yes.
heathen in the midst of this holy land. I mean,
Yeah.
you're allowing this pro-abortionist to touch you? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
with your secret handshakes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
remember?
Well, I think that the Pope is a little fishy
Yeah.
too. But
I think he's a Freemason, but
But
that's
the
just me.
point is that the church should be acknowledging, if you really believe the Bible, then you need to really stand with the Bible. And you love everybody. And I think that's part of what the church says and you believe, right? Love thy neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
But you also understand that, like, you can love somebody and understand that they're in a troubling situation. And so, like, the idea of just, like, saying, well, we need to modernize the religion, to a lot of people, that's very, very offensive, because the word of God is the word of God. You don't change it. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Through whatever time period we're in. And so that is a joke right now that God just burnt this church down, because he's saying that, you know what? I know it's an old church. I know it's beautiful, but the message that's being sent right now is not godly.
You done fucked up.
You done
Father.
fucked up. You done fucked up, Spencer.
You done fucked up, bro.
So, and the guy's wearing like a scarf that I told Chris, I don't know if it's like an LGBTQ
he goes,
scarf. But
damn it, Spencer, that's strike two.
yeah. Yeah.
But it's like how many versions of Christianity are there? There's like Protestant, there's Catholic.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
but that's not
how many different versions are there?
that to me that matters zero, because all of them still are based off the word of God. You know what I'm saying? And like understanding that like it is a sin to like bed with another male or another female if you're the same sex. Like it's all looked at the same. And you could argue that some are like more lenient than others. But if you really believe in God, then you believe that like, hey, we have a light, we got to model ourselves after God, right? And it's not that you criticize people, but you try to help those people. You don't just accept them saying
exactly.
like, no problem. That's the thing. So to very religious people, they look at this like, hey, you had it coming. I'm sorry.
Well, dude, because like, what's the one church that had the real racist woman who was out there picketing the soldiers' graves and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Like, there's that level of Christianity, and it's like
that's not
wait a
Christianity. That's not Christianity, and that speaks nothing to what Christianity is. And that's where
exactly
to your point. That is a that is
a fringe church.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it a church, man. But it's really like it's taking the word and just absolutely abusing it. You know what I'm saying? Because God would never be okay with you, screaming, obscenities to people, calling them, fags and all this other stuff that she was saying. That would never be okay. Like you are always supposed to respect people. Even
You'd think.
Well, God helped the poorest, and he helped he helped the prostitutes and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't just say what you're doing is fine. He said like I'm here to help you get out of this. You know what I'm saying? And follow a righteous path. So listen,
I think the road to redemption is the greatest thing that Christianity has to offer. You know what I mean?
It
because
is.
if you're seeing somebody who is wanting a sex change or wanting to ruin their lives with drugs and alcohol, I feel like offering them a way to turn that around is like fucking the most beautiful thing ever.
And to be that was God actually shooting flames right there. I think there's like a perversion of religion, and that's been happening for a long time. So the religion that we all criticize, I feel like is a perverse, kind of way of what religion is. And I do feel like, as much as I don't even go to church myself, and I have my own criticisms, but it is hard to argue that like church hasn't saved people. It absolutely has. And there's a lot of people that find real peace in looking at that stuff and living a life that's like not about them anymore, about the whole society around them. And there's some very good things about it. There's also some very like dark things. Yeah. That until that is shit like the child stuff that's really problematic. Until that stuff is brought out,
there's a lot of that just coming out again.
It is
too, like with Vatican.
Yeah, and that is the church being perverse. I mean, we need to be able to speak about it and get those people out, because people need to rely on faith. Yeah, and we've said it before. God needs to come back in this country a little bit. Like there needs to be that moral ground that we used to have, where we treat people with respect and understand that there's something more to this whole thing that we're experiencing together, rather than this moment that we're living in right now.
Yeah,
for sure, dude. Well, that's why personal liberties in like our Constitution worked. It's because you had this morality at the personal level, and you didn't need the government to give you that morality to say, hey, you can't do X, Y, and Z. It's like, oh, well, no shit. I already know that because I have this personal moral that I'm living my life accordingly to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, you don't have to be like knee deep in it to have the morals and values. That's all we're saying. And we see too many people just like hating on each other instead of, and that has to do with the separation that's been allowed. And it has to do with the idea that like free speech is going away. Because I think if you have a real conversation and you can have an argument, disagree with one another, which we've done as a group many, many times, very adamantly disagreed with each other on certain topics, but it's not a personal thing, and it should never be a personal thing. It should just be like, okay, well, Chris believes this, I believe this.
Yeah.
And I love the guy to death, and it doesn't change that. It's just we disagree on this one topic. And when we can get back to that point where people aren't offended
that you disagree,
then we can have common ground and morality back.
Yeah.
Because that's where everything lies. You hate me.
I would say get rid of the mainstream news, and
there you go.
We're halfway home, baby.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
So, it's a funny story that, like, this guy came out and did this. Now, in reality, is that what it is? I don't know. I don't know that God's going to burn down a historic church. But also, there are people that believe God's coming back, man. And we've seen some real weird shit where, this kind of stuff is happening and there's consequences to it. So, I don't know. It's a big-ass fire, bro.
That was.
Dude, do you think there's going to be consequences to these witches that were caught doing a carcass eating ritual?
Yeah, this one, we'll talk about the other side of the spectrum.
That's what I'm saying, bro. God needs to come back quick because we got witches doing shit. Yeah. We got some witches.
These witches were real bitches. You know what I'm saying?
These crazy witch bitches.
Yeah, you shared this article, man. And it was.
Dude, this is
bizarre.
nuts. This should only take a 5-minute split.
Oh,
here.
it's cool,
but
dude.
like, look at this article, you guys. This is a stunned nurse. She caught some witches eating a carcass in this bizarre ritual on her security camera.
That's fucking crazy as shit.
That's a horror movie right there.
Like,
that's Apocalypto.
If you went out, because a lot of people have game cameras and stuff, and I like that's probably what this was. Not necessarily a.
She's a Canadian nature lover. Okay, she was attempting to capture wildlife on a camera.
Oh, okay,
and then it backfired, and she caught some naked witches eating some shit.
But like, I've seen all kinds of videos like online and stuff of people catching weird stuff or on their game cams and stuff like that. But if you see. I think Joe Rogan made a joke about this a while back. And it was like, you see a bear or a cougar out in the woods. Yeah, it's scary, but I mean, it's also normal.
Yeah.
If you're out in the middle of the woods and you're by yourself and you see another person, that's even more frightening.
Yeah, this turns into like some Blair Witch shit. You know what I'm saying?
Could you imagine like watching this again and be like, wait, there's what are these two girls doing? Why are they naked?
Is that a girl?
They're eating a dead animal.
I think
that's a girl on the left, but is that a girl on the right?
I have no idea.
It just looks like more of a man to me, honestly.
I have no idea.
Like
there's not enough boob to tell me it's a woman, so I
just
know.
feel like
they're also wearing pants.
They're wearing pants, and it looks like they peed themselves. I got to be honest with you. That looks like a dark spot.
Look at this picture right there, Chris. No, this one. Is she nibbling the frickin' the hoof?
Yeah, it looks like they lift up the leg and was like biting the foot.
Yes, it says she appears to bite the dead deer's hoof. Oh my god.
Well,
okay, first of all, if I seen this on my game cam, that's creepy as shit. But also, now you got to think there's weird ass fucking people around my house.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, where did they come from?
Well, it doesn't say that they're by her house. Like, she was out in nature, so maybe she was on a trail somewhere.
Well, maybe.
But there's people in your community.
But you think she's not walking miles and miles away from her house to put out this game cam. She's probably just walking out in the woods in her area.
It's close.
It's probably relatively close.
So yeah, you're within a mile probably and there's weird ass fucking people eating deer in the woods that's crazy as shit.
I think that like if you're doing this, you probably live in a smaller community. And when this was released, or if I could totally see.
If you're the witch is eating a deer, or you're the person putting game cam.
Well, they all live in the same area, clearly, right? So I'm guessing it's a smaller community. You're up in the woods, you have like, it's at least, I'm guessing, smaller community that she lives in, maybe. But my point I'm trying to make is like somebody from the community recognizes this person. It's like, oh, Becky, god damn it. And then they go to the local diner and she says, dude, quit fucking eating the fucking deer hooves. What's going on with you, man?
I think they were both women. So
that one looks
video,
like a dude,
I haven't seen like the video, but I guess the actual video of the game cam was going around watching these bare naked ladies. Okay. But this is saying one occult lover even postulated that the bare naked ladies were Wendigos. Wendigos.
Is this the band that we're talking about right now?
Native American spirits who possess people and turn them into cannibals.
Oh, what?
I mean,
Yeah, I think, Chris, to your point, I think she put out the game cam to like capture stuff, and then
Yeah, 'cause
also
there's
I think
another
they had
picture.
a problem
There's
protecting the horses and stuff.
Well, yeah, there's another picture down here where the game cam is in the same spot and there was a bobcat. So
Yep.
I think they're worried about like animals getting their actual animals, and in the process they caught some people eating a fucking deer carcass.
okay, let's
in the
look at it
woods.
from another angle.
Okay.
Just for the sake of like argument here, okay? And it's not even argument because it's still weird no matter how you cut it. But I'm saying, what if she found this carcass, the woman with the camera,
Okay.
saw a carcass and was like, I'm going to put my trail cam on the carcass because I know other animals are going to come eat off this thing and it's going to get some great shots.
Well, yeah.
And then you have the heel. Because initially when you said about this, Greg, I thought that
How is it a different direction?
Well, I thought that they killed the animal, drug it over into the camera, and started eating this thing. Like
Oh.
it was some like sacrifice.
No, that was
This thing
probably
already.
that was already there.
It's not. That's what I'm saying though. It's not a sacrifice if the animal's already dead.
Yeah, but you're still having random people wandering through the woods, and now you actually got them on camera
Dude, I'm telling you.
wandering upon a deer carcass, and they're, man, actually, I'm hungry.
Here's the deal. If you throw that same deer carcass in the streets of San Francisco, we might see the same thing. There would be homeless people mowing that thing down, bro.
I doubt it.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't
They'd be
know,
taking
man.
a lighter,
I don't know.
cooking that
we
meat
got
up.
we got first world homeless people. They got fucking
For
cell
sure.
phones and
That's-
shit.
that's
They can
next
just,
level
They'll
homeless.
just get a couple bucks and then Uber Eats a fucking burger or something.
I mean, I don't know if they even do that. I'm just saying, are these people like homeless? Are they even witches? Are they homeless? Or are they living in the woods and they don't have food?
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right, Dave. So they set up the camera to see if the carcass would attract any critters
Yes.
at night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you say sacrifice, like witches sacrifice things for their religion or for what they believe, right? And I thought that initially when that was sent, like they were seen like, dragging this thing in frame and then they were like, slitting its throat and fucking praying to the gods and eating it. When in reality, this thing was already fucking deceased and fucking bloated. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's almost like they
Which is even just more disgusting.
It is more
It was
disgusting.
already gross, but like this thing's been sitting there rotting on the fucking ground, and
Yeah.
they just come up and eat it.
well, but even the outfit,
God.
it's like
A loincloth and shit.
it's almost like this was taken in the Amazon, dude. You know what I mean? Like it's very tribalistic. Except
At least
for the
that
dude.
guy's wearing like boots.
That's a
and shit.
guy, man. That is not a woman.
That has to be a dude. Look at this picture. You can see
I
see his
know.
leg,
I'm seeing the boots,
but
and
you can
the
see it like
cargo
his pants, and he's wearing like
That just doesn't look.
outside shoes. or
It doesn't
boots
look
or
like a
something.
female body to me. Like that does not look like a female. That looks like they probably ate this thing and then fucked right afterwards. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. Listen, it's fucking weird. It's
weird.
absolutely weird.
It would be honestly very disturbing to go out. It's like, man, I probably got some cool bobcats. I probably got some cool I don't know, mountain lion or something on my game cam. I'm gonna go check it out, and then you watch it back, and then you find people eating the fucking deer.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
need to talk
that's
to the
so
sheriff.
gross.
Somebody needs to do a welfare check on Nancy in the woods. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody knows who this is in this town. I bet you it's a
yeah.
small town. There's
yeah, 'cause,
somebody.
I mean, they're not even. I mean, clearly it's black and white, but they don't even look dirty like they've been out there for a while.
Well, I don't know, man. Her hair. Look at that.
It's hard to tell.
That looks like dreads and shit. That looks like some dirt.
Maybe.
Is that even?
Dude, I think
are
they might have been
ghosts?
part of a local cult. That's what they said. I think it's part of this local cult that.
So there's a known local cult around.
That's I think.
Or is that just
so
a
it says
word on the
social
street?
media seemed convinced that the Canadian had witnessed witches, a local cult, or some malevolent entity performing a demonic ritual. So
they're saying
they
the
don't
three
know.
options.
They don't know.
Yeah, which is local cult or some entity.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a local cult though. I remember there was a cult out in Clascanite where I grew up.
Okay.
There was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What did they do?
They lived right. I don't know exactly what they did, but they lived right outside of town, and they had their own. They had this road that went down by the creek and stuff, and they had this whole community in there. They dressed real weird, and they'd walk everywhere. You'd see them in town. They'd be passing out like religious flyers and stuff.
Oh wow. Okay, so they were actually
They had
coordinated.
They had a compound, and then no one saw them again because they all drank the poison.
The only
Yeah.
time you saw them is when they were walking in the town.
Did they all scream like "Klaskina"?
I don't know. I did hear a story one time where I forget who it was. I think it was like one of my uncles or something and his friends. And they went out to like spy on them to see what actually they were doing. And they like chased them down.
Oh shit, they got caught?
Yeah, they got caught and they chased them. They ended up escaping, but they're like chasing them down. Like, I don't know
Dude,
if they were
imagine
going to try to
that.
kill them or if they were like just trying to scare them off.
I get you. Imagine like a Ghost Adventures, but it's like cult watchers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
we spotted one.
That
Look
would
at
be
this
a good.
cranky
That would be a
individuals.
really good show, actually. If
mean,
they were like, if there was like night ops fucking through the trees and
I
they're,
mean,
like,
but
just
then you
finding
have to
stuff.
find these fucking things. Like, it's not, it's easier said than done, bro. You're better
There's
off.
nothing more secretive than a cult ritual. Let's spy.
Oh,
Here we
there,
go.
look, they're spreading ashes over the body now.
You just dress up like the alligator guy, friggin' Dundee. Oh, jeez.
Well, no, you do now. You just dress up like Tom Green in a deer carcass,
Yeah.
and you go lay in the woods and see what comes up.
Ooh, good point.
That's a weird one, man.
Well, hopefully it's not a wild animal and they're eating your ass.
Maybe it was ghosts. Maybe they were just ghosts, dude. Demons.
That's a very clear.
That'd be the clearest ghost of all time.
Yeah.
Yep, indeedy.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think
a weird one. It's a weird one.
So, Dave, what's going on with this like wildfires in Canada, bro?
That one's a quick one for me. I want to talk about the live too, but the fires that I showed Chris yesterday. I had it for yesterday's show, and
That's
we got sidetracked. But we have a lot of fires happening in
Canada.
In Canada, seemingly at one time. I mean, all kind of just erupted in fires.
Well,
and,
I think there was a bunch that started on the west side of Canada, like on the west side of the country.
Vancouver and Victoria,
Yeah,
and
then now it's all on the east coast around Nova Scotia and stuff like that.
Well, dude, so Chris, I sent you a video, and this I found on Conspiracy Reddit. Okay, so
is
go
it the
take
fire one?
through.
I have that already.
Where they all like start at the same time?
Yeah, that's the one I'm
going to
be sharing. Yeah, that's the one I had. So
okay, cool.
Go to my TikTok here, and we can just see this right now. Yeah, you gotta shut that
God
fucking
dang it.
music off, dude. Yeah.
Why do they do that?
I
Just
don't-
play
you know.
the videos.
So this is the video here, and it shows like an aerial view,
Yes.
and they all. I showed Chris yesterday. I was like, dude,
Granted, this is a time lapse, but the time lapse even actually makes it a little more prevalent.
They
how
have
quickly they started around each other.
but they have the time on here, June 2nd, 6:40 a.m.
Yeah.
And it'll show them all kind of at the same time, very far apart.
yeah,
So go ahead and play it.
Yeah. So
we
all
go.
these plumes.
8:40, 9:40.
There's the first one up there, but
10:40,
then
11:40.
now stop it
Oh,
real quick.
whoop.
Pause it.
All up here, up here, over
There.
here,
Yeah.
over here. All these started at the same time.
They're all the same, like smoke height. That one up top probably is the first to start, but everything around started. They're all the same height. And if
they're
you
all within 2 hours of each other.
Dude, Chris, go to that link that I just sent you and mute it. But this guy goes back and forth, and he shows like literally like you see the plume,
Yeah.
and it's such a great freaking panorama of this back and forth.
Yeah.
And he shows you like clear as day. Like, look, they all kind of go at the same height as you were saying. They all start in different locations, like
Yeah.
all around this same kind of province. Like, look at this. He's like going in and out, right?
Yep.
Look at that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All at the same time. What the God's name?
How's that possible?
Antifa?
And
You've
the
been
other-
busy.
The other thing that was weird, and you can actually see it in this video a little bit. And so the article that I brought, which we don't need to really go through, was basically saying that like New York City and shit is getting just fucking smogged out, right? Just fucking fire.
Yeah, they're saying that the air quality is going to be toxic here soon.
It is. It's
Oh, shit.
hazy. It's super bad all across that area. And somebody had pointed out that, and you can actually see it in this video a little bit, that as soon as the fire started, for some reason, all of the wind started blowing into America. And if you go to this video that he just had here, that we were just looking at, you see this large cloud here. This is not the best video, but you'll see it. The fires start and watch the clouds immediately shift. They're going north.
They all shift
and then they
south.
shift south. And so, and there was an actual full United States, Canada aerial from space or, whatever, that shows like as the fires were going, everything started shifting down into the States.
Yeah.
And so
Conspiracy.
weather modifications,
Yep.
So is this laser technology?
Direct energy weapons.
Is this a group of people
And
doing
that's
this?
that's interesting too. Like you watch this video
Mm-hmm.
on that you have on your TikTok here. They'll back it up and you see like all these clouds kind of in a circular shape here,
Mm-hmm.
these light clouds. And then you play it and then it just looks like all from up here, it all just clears out as soon as they start.
Yeah.
Like a big fan turned on.
Yep.
But dude, like the chances of all those fires starting at the exact same time is very, very low.
Yeah, right? That's the weirdest part to me.
Well, the weirdest part to me is the fact that we can see the fire starting, which tells you that like there's not like storm clouds, there's not like lightning strikes happening, because that would be the argument that there's lightning happening. But
it was clear sky,
and that's
everywhere.
a lot of them were saying like, how is it so clear, generally clear that all of these started at that same time?
Well, because they need the sky to be clear so they can see what they're shooting at with the lasers.
Exactly, laser beams, bro.
Yeah,
it's the DEWs. Come on.
Yeah, it's a very. That's all I really wanted to say. It's listen. I'm not going to dive into deep conspiracy on it. It's there for us to see. You can see it.
Yeah.
That they started at the same time, and then for whatever reason, it just seemed to blow right in here. You know what I'm saying? And so now you see New York City, very, very hazy, and a lot of the North America area there is very, very hazy, very, very bad air quality.
Yeah.
Well, and then remember, like the Northwest in 2020, the year of the election.
Yeah.
It was just fire nonstop. Like we were doing our podcast at your house, Dave. We couldn't have the windows open. We were just like smoldering inside.
Yeah, I remember there were several times we even actually said on the show, like we would see like there would be so much smoke, and I think that was actually from a different fire, but there's little pieces of ash and stuff coming down in the sky.
Yeah. For
Oh
sure.
yeah,
The gorge
that was
fire and stuff.
something burning in Dave's backyard.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were several times where that room just smelled so much like smoke.
Yeah. We got it. We got a lot of it. We just had the perfect airflow for it to be sucked right in, dude.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, good old Antifa fires. That's what I like to
I
call
have
them.
one more thing before we bounce that I wanted to bring up. I know we only got about 5 minutes here. So I want to talk about this golf stuff. And I am not a golfer. I don't think any of us are. Greg, do you know much about this, live golf?
I know nothing about it. This does not interest me one bit. So I
I think
never
it's
looked
actually interesting politically. Well, so here's the deal. The PGA Tour, we all know golf, right? Major golf tour, historic. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, Live came around, which is a Saudi-owned golf, right? And they came out a couple years back, and they decided that they were going to buy out golf, basically, like money washing golf. And so they went to all the big stars, and they said, we're going to pay you an outrageous amount of money to leave the PGA and come to Live Golf. And some did. Phil Mickelson or whatever went over there and just got huge paychecks, bro. I mean, they were paying out the ass for these guys, right? Back then, 2022, 2021, or whatever it was, the PGA came out and was very against this, right? They were saying, you guys are traitors, man. Like, PGA is the fucking, it's like the NBA. It's the fucking established set. And so, you know, people like Tiger Woods and other such big figures were saying, like, I'm sticking with the PGA. This is a historic, you know, thing. I'm not leaving it for some Saudi, you know, owned thing here. And so they didn't take the money. Now, Tiger Woods is reportedly was offered up to $1 billion to go to Live. Okay,
bro.
They turned down I mean, in most cases, hundreds of millions of dollars to even $500 million for a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
And they turned them down for loyalty towards the PGA. Okay, and on top of that, the second one I have here, actually, I don't think I even have it, but the 9/11 Commission came out, like the families of 9/11 came out and were ripping these golfers left and right. How dare you go to the Saudi Arabian fucking, you know, golf tournament? You know what I mean? Like, you know, these people are all about the money. They're the reason for 9/11, yada, yada, yada. It's an oppressive nation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How dare you, blah, blah, blah. So long story short, you had all these holdouts, big figures holding out. They didn't want to take the cash. Out of nowhere, yesterday morning, early in the morning, the PGA sold their company, sold to Live. So now Saudi Arabia owns all of it.
And
everything.
not just Saudi Arabia, the Saudi prince owns all of it.
Yeah. So the Saudi-backed rival Live, right, is a competition situation, but it's the Live Golf is backed by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, an entity controlled by Saudi crown prince, and has been embroiled in antitrust lawsuits with the PGA over the last year. There's a lot of like concern, and the guys here in the studio are big golfers, man. And they were just like, dude, this is crazy, because they didn't even tell the golfers that they were doing it. Now, how mad are you if you're like Tiger Woods or all these other guys?
You gave up $1 billion contract.
Yes, just to have it come back, because now all these golfers that left are going to be back on these tours. super rich, and the ones that held out because the PGA said, stand your ground, don't fucking leave us. We were, this is an American thing here. Don't do this. And then just sold out from under. You fucked everybody over. And on top of it, now Saudi Arabia owns the entire golf thing. All the agencies. They own F1 racing.
Yeah.
They own soccer teams out the ass. Like, they are literally buying up sports. And Saudi Arabia is not great, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of...
Apparently, Trump thought that this was a good deal, dude. He says, great news. So this is on Truth. Trump says, quote, great news from LIV Golf. A big, beautiful, and glamorous deal for the wonderful world of golf. Congrats to all. And I guess last year he made a prediction that LIV and the PGA were going to merge. It was going to be inevitable. He predicted that on Truth Social.
I don't think it's a good thing. I'm going to have to disagree with Trump. I think that, if China was to do this, you wouldn't be saying it was a good thing. And so for whatever reason, there's a lot of people that really, want to support Saudi Arabia, and I just think that there's a lot of corruption and a lot of shit happening. There was some real terrorist shit going on back in, you know what I mean? It's just on top of it. Go ahead.
Yeah, Trump has hosted a number of these LIV or live golf events at his golf courses. He's participated in several of them as well.
So I can tell you that the PGA players are fucking pissed. I watched some videos of their first reactions, and they were pissed because they woke up and saw it on a Twitter feed.
Well, I think they're probably mostly pissed because of the amount of money they missed out on.
Well, the money is a big part of it.
Yeah.
But that's not the truth. Is yes, they had the opportunity to take money, and they didn't. So yes, money is a deal, but that's not why they stood their ground on this. They stood because they didn't want to be just like the NBA. If China came out and said, and I said that to Dan yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, can you imagine if China came out and said, we want to buy the NBA? Now, some people would be like, well, that's fine, that's cool. But most people would be like, no, we don't want the NBA to be owned by the Chinese. You know what I'm saying? It's an American sport. Yes, it's a national sport now, but we don't want to, or international sport, we don't want the Chinese to own it.
Yeah.
Players don't want to play for the Chinese government. And these golfers did not want to play for the Saudi. They don't want to be owned by Saudi.
Well, now, so here's the deal, is because 9/11, you had two of the hijackers, right? They led this terrorist operation and all that stuff at 9/11. There was this document that was just revealed. It said logistical support given to two of the Saudi hijackers in the lead up to the terrorist operations. So just because the terrorists were Saudi doesn't mean the entire nation of Saudi Arabia wanted 9/11 to happen. Is that correct? Or do you think that this was a whole government of Saudi Arabia wanting to take down?
I'm not getting into that because I don't know enough about it. I will never say that all of a certain.
But isn't that
people,
why people are pissed about this?
No, they're pissed because the Saudi government, in their eyes, are just as bad as the Chinese government. That they're a major oil country that has more money than they know what to do with. They're very oppressive. They do everything based off of their stuff, which is fine. America has their own, America First stuff too. But, them coming over and trying to own everything, kind of like China does. You know what I'm saying? Where they want their hands in everything. Mm-hmm. And so to a lot of people, they're saying, this is golf, for God's sakes, bro. We don't want to be ran by and dictated off of a Saudi-based group, the Crown Prince. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And listen, like I said, if it was China buying the NBA, there would be a lot of outrage right now. In the conservative field, people would be like, are you shitting me? China's coming over and buying farms. Do you care about that? That's what I'm saying.
It seems like China owns several players. As far as what
definitely.
They can say and what they can't.
I don't know that they own the players, but they have so much money involved that players are not willing to speak out against them because of the money.
But can you imagine what it would look like if China owned the whole sport?
That's what I'm saying. Why is it that people don't care about this when you will argue that China's buying up farmland?
Yeah.
People really care about that. China's wanting to, buy up in Disney and buy up in our culture so that they have a say in what can and can't be aired. People care about that.
So what's going to change?
We don't know yet.
You know what I mean? If China buys up farmland, that impacts what they do to our crops, how they manage our food source supply and all that stuff.
I don't know.
This is golf. So I mean, you're just merging.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
then
know
what-
what's
I
gonna
just think you have like
Yes, but then where does it stop? Just like Elon with Twitter. Yeah, he buys up Twitter, and now he's wanting to buy this, and now he's wanting to buy that. Like when does it stop? They
But
get
if it's a
this, and
free
now
market,
they
you know?
have even more assets. Now they're gonna are they just gonna continue and buy up other sports too?
I'm all I'm saying is like I just like I don't like the idea of those. I know you don't care, and that's fine because like even myself, like I don't watch golf. For
Well, no,
example.
I just want to know what's going to change.
Well,
Like if there's going to be some major changes, then it might be.
I don't know if it's like major
yeah,
changes. I'm
problematic.
just saying like even if it was like the NBA or something, as somebody like myself, well, we've seen what the NBA is capable of, especially when it comes to like the anti-racist shit and like how much they can have a sway and it's
influence,
popular.
yeah.
The influence is there, man. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what it's going to come down to.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's like an influence, you know what I'm saying, that can be dictated possibly.
Influence on old white men who play golf.
Dude, it's
No,
not that way.
I'm kidding. I'm just making a judgment there. There's
yeah,
a lot
that's
of young
huge
dudes
judgment.
that play golf.
It's pretty broad now, man. I mean, it's definitely
Yeah.
like recently, especially, it feels like it's a lot of younger people are getting back into it. You know, it's not like the
Yeah.
old man sport like when we were younger. You
That's
know what
true.
I mean? So to me, it's just
yeah. I guess Tiger Woods is an idol to a lot of kids.
I mean, it's not just that, man. I just think it's such a shit deal for these people that were trying to stay loyal. I just feel like it was a huge.
I
dog.
I don't like the fact that it's one group owning so many things. Just like
Yeah,
I said
yeah.
with Elon, I don't like the fact that he has Twitter and now he wants to buy Fox or CNN and like now he's trying to control all of media. I don't like any one entity coming in and wanting
He's not
to.
trying to control all of media. He's
You
trying
don't know
to
that.
buy up some of it.
You don't know
Dude,
that.
I mean, that's kind of.
Well, you don't know that he is.
Well, I don't either. I don't know that either. But I mean, you get this, and now you're wanting to buy this, and what's next? You're wanting to buy something else. I mean,
Elon's
you
turning
look at
into
the
me
trend
with
forward.
toys, bro. Like it starts off with 5, and then you have fucking 500 pretty soon.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can look at trends and say that like he's wanting his hands in a whole lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but if he doesn't buy it, who would you rather have buy it? Because somebody's going to buy it.
I
And
think
if he's
just
promoting free speech, then fucking buy it. You know?
I don't know, man. I feel like you have to have some diversity in that kind of stuff, and I hate that word. But I'm just saying, like, you have to have some points of views. Now, yes, there should be some obvious, like, you want to have people that are going to allow it to be free speech. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that Elon's the only person that can do that. Like that's
sure.
what I'm saying. Is like,
Yeah.
it's obvious.
If
like,
there's somebody out there, then show me who they are, and then okay, yeah, then they can buy it too.
yeah.
But as of now, I'm not seeing a lot of people step up. A lot of people with enough money, at least.
I
mean, like
regardless-
Trump seems to be totally fine with this PGA LIV merger.
Well,
so that would
Trump
be
was also
interesting.
totally fine with getting the jab. So my point is like that means nothing.
Exactly.
That means zero to me. It's like I don't agree with him on that situation. I don't
I
It
don't.
would be interesting to find out like why he agrees.
because
with
there's
it.
probably money involved.
Oh yeah.
Like let's be real. I mean, he just said that he helped. What didn't he help do some events? Is that what the article said?
Yeah, he's played in Saudi-backed golf tournaments. He's supported this. So
I don't know, dude. I mean,
Who knows?
We'll see. Like there's still stuff going on, and they're gonna talk about it. But I feel bad for some of the players that I was watching the tweets, and they're just like, "Wow, great day." You know, it's. I mean, that would probably
Yeah.
hit you because you were going through this stuff and you were like adamant that you were going to stay loyal, and then yet they just sell, seemingly.
it's true. I mean, they're still going to be making a lot of money. So I don't know. I just want to see what changes.
I mean, maybe there'll be even more money in golf at this point. Who knows?
It's true.
Dan, is there going to be more money in golf?
Oh, 1,000%.
1,000%. Dan says 1,000% more money.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
Do you agree though that it's fucked a little bit that these guys made a shit ton of money are coming back though the people that stood pat didn't?
Yeah, so it's pretty complicated, but for the most part, they got bear hugged.
Yeah.
Like, the Saudis came in and were just like, we'll bleed you dry.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. They bleed you dry.
Bleed you dry. All right. Interesting topics, gentlemen.
Yeah, man.
Be careful of those witches out there, okay?
Ooh.
I don't know if there's any cult witches in
Yeah.
Texas.
Be careful
so
of golf,
I get-
witches, and don't say shit about God because they'll fucking burn your church down.
Oh,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
You will be smited.
That's good stuff, man. Good topics. Greg,
job.
always a pleasure, my friend.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers to you. You guys take care of yourselves. We'll see you tomorrow.